So I wanted to make a quick video about this last weekend's regional in North Carolina. And of course, if you've been under a rock, aandroidd did take it with TOP Goku. And, to be fair, it's a good deck. It's even good enough to have 14 of them in top 16. And when I say that, I'm not joking. When I saw it or when I heard about it, I started trying to field out if that was actually really true because I couldn't believe it. And then I thought about it and I was like, wait a second. Yeah, I should believe that. TOP Goku is broken. It's fundamentally broken in a game that came from Masters, where a lot of different decks, whether it's Super Shenron or Shenron Gogeta or Mecha Frieza or whatever, all of this stuff stemmed from free playing cards, things that did not need energy. And it just became pretty obvious when you started playing TP Goku that it stemmed from, obviously a few different things. One, it reduced costs through the leader, and two, Kefla, and it kind of just enabled all the other stuff that Red was aggressive with and has removal. And before I actually do continue, I want to give out some shout outs. One, PPG for hosting a tournament. I heard it was pretty good, and shout out to them just for hosting tournaments in general. Two, the Lookout for doing the stream because they did good. They did showcase their love for the game, and I liked it. And three, obviously, for the deck list for PPG as well as Eggman. You can check out the link below. Now, I'm not going to go through any of the lists. I think that's kind of redundant at this point. You've probably seen the list by now, and as well as TOP Goku, it has a core, right? Like whatever. And if you want to try something different, I would look into Beerus. I would look into some sort of blue deck, and green and yellow are off into the J. Cole-esque type of beaches where they're just kind of chilling for this to boil over, I guess. Anyway, I think the real thing I wanted to talk about is the chicken or the egg. And what I mean by that, I mean it by, is it the leader that's the issue, or is it the cards that are in its card pool and the things you can play? Well, I think you have to kind of take a step back and see what happened to Masters first, and what is Fusion World in general. One, again, I talked about before, this is very similar to Mecha Frieza. It's very similar to all the other decks that have free play, whether it's King Piccolo or King Vegeta, etc., Free Invaders, whatever you want to say. And I think it does kind of stem to the Kefla that does play out something for free. I think it really does come back to it. But when we look at Fusion World in itself, right, when we look at it, when you pay one for something that plays something for free, afterwards you're getting up to 7 things worth of 1 energy, or for 1 energy. And when you back it up and you look at how the game works in general, most things are like, you play this, I play this, you combo that, I combo this, and it sort of just curves out to see whoever is the most skillful when it comes to that. This sort of breaks it when you play too many things and you get so many tools to remove things through Catapesla, through Gohan, through Self-Awakeners like Master Roshi. So when you speed all of that up in a color that's already really good, it just gets really bad, and people sort of realize that you don't really need to play anything else. You don't need to play green because it's too slow. You don't need to play yellow because it just dies to it. You don't need to play blue because it's too inconsistent and too hard to pilot. So the easiest way to get wins, and as well as the top, is to play this leader because you have everything that you need. There's nothing else that you need. Now, I do want to go on the record. I did make a couple of videos. One, in my TOP beginner guide, you can always check that out if you really need to. I don't think you need to at this point, but I did state that like TOP Goku is the deck to beat. It is probably an issue, and I think it's going to be the first thing that's going to get banned or something of that. I am pretty sure I said it in that video. And then in the tier list that I made it pretty clear that TOP, Goku, Beerus, as well as technically U7 Goku, which when you really think about it, like if you take away the TOP Goku leader, people may switch over to Universe 7 Goku or Stardust Goku, right? But I don't think it's gonna be that much of an issue in general. If you just like took that tier list and just like took off TOP Goku, you can move up some of the green decks up. And that's pretty much it. Like that's all you really need to do. So let's talk about Kefla real quick. I think if you get rid of Kefla, the deck will still have some legs when you think about it, right? So you take away the draw, which is good because you shouldn't be able to be rewarded for drawing one, well, discarding one and then drawing one to replace it, get a body that's 20k, which is 25 by the way, and then get another body that can either take a life, swing 25k, remove a 5k or 10k, or more, depending on what you have on field. Or you can draw again. So you can draw 2 after pitching 1 and then getting 2 bodies to swing with. So again, Kefla, I think, is probably the first thing that if I was a designer or if I wanted to fix a fire that obviously is burning right now, Kefla is probably the first thing I would take a look at, but I would tread carefully to see how that would go. One, you could restrict it to 1. You'll allow people to still buy the cards, have some value, and the one of, and which we talked about this in Masters and how sacky, the SCRs can be, could feel bad, right? When you do get the one of you, that would be the turning point of a turn, maybe. And when you have access to all the other TOP cards, you have Gohan, you have Kefla to replace itself, you have Ketapesla. All these things don't feel as good to play, but it is still pretty good, right? So I think when you really think about it, you probably should do away with the leader before you do away with Kefla, because Kefla playing for 4, being able to play another body is still okay because you're still paying 4. And when you think about like other things that have 4 energy or you do 4 energy with, I don't know if it's on the same level. Like I'm trying to think of like other 4 drops that can get this much value out of paying 4 energy. I don't think there's too many of them in the game. They're usually 5 or more. And I think when you put this as a 4 drop, you kind of just, you sort of just push everything an earlier turn on curve for every deck, including this one. So I don't know. I think if you ban the leader, then we have to take a look at Kefla. If you ban Kefla, then the leader can still be played, and then all the other TOP cards are still pretty decent. You can still play 2 bodies on board, but then you would lose a card outside of playing 3-drop Kefla, and as well as you still have access to Rebrand, which we'll take a look at in a second. So Rebrand and Android 17. So Rebrand is good because you get a 1-cost double striker, which you have access to nowhere else. Think about it. You have no access to anywhere else for a 1-cost double striker. Double strike in this game is supposed to be a game-ending thing. Think about it. You have 17 and 18. You have 6-drop Gohan. You have all the other 5 drops. You have broken the game fundamentally because you have given a leader that can do a 1-cost double strike. They did not learn anything from Champa. That's the thing. Like nothing was learned from Champa. 1 energy double strike. You have learned nothing. It is insane that this got printed. And I know, it's just a double striker. It's just a 10k combo. But I'm telling you, on a systematic and the designer level, it doesn't make sense for you to do that, right? It doesn't make sense for you to give this one deck the thing that no one else can do, plus 10 other things in a really good color already, right? So it does not make sense. Now, when we talk about Android 17, I think it's just a very annoying card. I don't think it's a very much of a problem card. There's so many things that can answer this. You can't really answer Rebrand. Is either they have it or they don't, and it just feels bad, right? It's sort of like 8-drop Broly, but at least you have to work towards that, and at least there's like 3 or 4 other turns that you have to go through. This is different. Rebrand is a little bit different. Android 17, very answerable. Red can reduce it, swing into it. You can bottom deck it with blue. You can rest it or keep it rested, which kind of does whatever. In yellow, you can still pop it in yellow as well. And in green, you kind of just don't care about it. Like you're just gonna play big bodies. Like if TOP wasn't a thing, like if 17 was just the card to have or to play, you don't really care about it. It's like, go ahead, have a 25k leader. I'm gonna swing with my 17-18 for double gigantic. Like I don't really care, right? So it just doesn't make sense for that. That's how it's just, I don't know. I'm flabbergasted that this this is still a thing. I think what's worse is that Glimpse is also a thing where, the one, again, this really comes down to the leader providing a 1-cost double striker. If the leader didn't exist, Rebrand would have an issue. And then obviously this card isn't that bad because it is a 2 cost, and you kind of get the same thing in green as well. So every color gets something. This isn't as bad on paper when you think about it. It is still a really, really good card, right? So when you're going for game, you're usually doing on what, 5 energy for rebrand. So 1 for rebrand, you swing, you go to 35, and you go again, you go what, 60, and then the 2 cards you pick up are 10Ks. That is 80 right there, just from the 5 energy that you have, and you just dump your hand. So I feel like this card isn't as bad as you may think, which is perfectly fine. I think, in general, like it's all the stuff that comes with it. It's really good support for the leader, obviously. And if the leader didn't exist because of rebrand or with rebrand, then you would have to work a lot harder for you to keep stuff on board, for you to use this efficiently. So I don't really think Glimpse is that big of a deal. And then we have Master Roshi, where I think so Master Roshi, I think, is easily answerable. Like, every color has something for it, but you just still have to draw it, right? Like, it's one of those things where, what was it, Shigesh, right? It was back in Masters, Shigesh, you have to draw the answers to Shigesh in order for it to not to happen, or literally any of those silver bullets that they had, right? And I feel like Master Roshi, it has hidden text that says you need a silver bullet to answer this card, so that way I don't get into my self-awakening. Now, I don't particularly have an issue with Master Roshi. I just think it just adds fuel to the fire, where obviously you want to awaken on your own turn and when you want to, and as quickly as possible for most matchups as TOP. And because of that, and Master Roshi just kind of sits there and gains you advantage with hit and literally everything else that takes life. It just sort of feels bad for you just to kind of just watch your opponent, do it. And I don't know, it's whatever. I think one end, it is very annoying as far as that goes. It is kind of a problem that is adding to the fire. On the other hand, I'm okay with it because, like, for the most part, red, like, usually has to work for all their self-awakeners. Like, we have this, we have hit, we have 3-drop Goku, we have now 3-drop Gohan. We have a couple other things as well that takes life. But I think at the end of the day, it's probably fine because you don't want to slow down the format, especially in a color that's really aggressive like red, when green exists, and when the game itself shouldn't be too slow, right? You have to find that perfect balance. And I don't think people really talk about Master Roshi anyway. I don't think it's really that big of a deal. It's a 10K, it's a 5K on board, and like I said, it gets really easily answered. So what do I think at the end of the day? I think I said 2 things before Fusion 1 came out. One, I'm going to give it until set 3, until if Bandai messes it up or not, because for some reason Dragon Ball just can't have a thing nice. All I wanted to do is play Dragon Ball, have a good time, go to events and have a good time. And now I'm looking at Chicago, the two events that I really wanted to go to, and I don't even want to go because it's just boring, right? Like, a competitive side of me, maybe a few years ago, would have been like, okay, whatever, I'm gonna deal with it. This is the format, this is the meta. I want my cereal. I'm gonna play TOP Goku, or I'm gonna find an answer for it. Other side of it is like, dude, I have been playing card games and as well as Dragon Ball for so long. I don't want to go to an event and be like, okay, I'm ready for the mirror, and then play 5 mirrors or play none of them, and then go 0 through drop, right? It just feels really bad as that. I want to enjoy the chance to go to an event or to go to my locals or whatever, because obviously this is another reason why people might not go to locals, right? It's just literally TOP Goku for the people who are spuddy, and people who don't want to be spuddy either don't go or don't play it. And that could be an agreement with your community. I don't know. My local community, always great, love them to death. I don't think we're gonna be playing TOP Goku too often, only the spuddy people. Shout out to Eric, who didn't up. Okay, all right. But yeah, that's how I said. That's all I wanted to say. I'm going on a soapbox now. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and I'll see you in the next one.